Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. Today is Thursday, March the 28th, 2019. It's 4 p.m. in New York. It's 1 p.m. in Los Angeles. That would make it 8 p.m. in London, Sydney, Australia. You're around 7 a.m. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And the only sad thing today on this daily dose of happy is that Steve Rowell can't join us today. He's got another commitment he has to deal with. But as so often happens with him, on those occasions where he's not able to join us, he has sent along a special guest for me to interview. And I know about as much about him as you do. So, I mean, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, but I'll tell you what Steve sent to me. This is the introduction that I have. So before becoming a motivational speaker and life coach, Andres has pursued his dream he has had since he was 12 of being a stand-up comedian. Now, stand-up comedy gave him the confidence to pursue public speaking. He now speaks at youth conferences, schools, corporations, and as a life coach, he helps his clients overcome what he describes as the 5 fears that are holding back many people from living their full potential. We're going to find out what they are. He helps them believe in themselves so they can pursue their goals and dreams and find their life's purpose like he did. He's also the co-host of the podcast Power, Passion, and Coffee along with Jermaine Miller. And you can find their podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Facebook Live. So now you know everything about Andres that I know. Let's see if we can find out some more. Andres Ruiz, thank you for joining me on LOA Today.
Thank you for having me, Walt. I really appreciate this. I'm really excited. And thank you for the introduction.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Quite welcome. And I see that you are contacting us because we're also doing a video live stream on Facebook. You're contacting us from your vehicle, which means you're out doing your stuff, which is kind of fun. We actually have a lot of people who do that periodically. It's kind of interesting.
Okay, cool.
But I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Now, I've given you a little bit of an introduction, but you got to tell us more of who you are, because I literally met you about 15 minutes ago, and that's about how much I know. So Who is Andres? Tell me who Andres is.
So me, right now I'm currently doing motivational speaking. My passion is really to help out like our youth, to help out my clients with finding their goals and dreams, like really truly pursuing what they want to do. Because like for myself, at one point in my life, I was working at a job that I hated. I was really miserable. I was really depressed, having daily anxiety. I was overweight at one point in my life. I was weighing like about 270 pounds, and even more depressed because of my physique. I also was doing a lot of crazy things, doing hard drugs like cocaine, taking pills while I was drinking alcohol.
Wow.
So I was doing a lot of crazy stuff, and really a lot of it had to do with the people I was around, the way I was raised. I was around a lot of things that many kids should not see in their lifetime when they're little,
Yeah.
So that's just a little bit about my past and a little bit of what I'm doing right now. And now through personal development, it changed my life forever, to just change the person that I was in the past. Like really working on my mindset, taking care of my mind through being a more positive person. Listening to people like Tony Robbins, Les Brown, all these great motivational speakers that changed my life forever.
Fantastic. Of course, you actually were the one who changed your life forever, but they helped. I mean, they certainly gave you some good ideas. But couldn't really do much unless you actually changed it yourself. But very good.
Exactly. Yeah, I had to do the work.
You sure did. Yeah, well, we all do. That's the way it is in life. You actually kind of, in a way, remind me of my Thursday morning co-host, Joel Elston. Joel and I have been doing the show now together for about 4 or 5 years. And he also does a lot of work with young people, particularly most often with men who are stuck in the foster care system, the so-called unadoptable ones. And he has, I believe the current count is he has helped find forever homes for 36 of them. He adopted 3 himself, and he's provided all kinds of pro bono help to kids up to age 21, really, in countless cases, probably hundreds of cases. And he himself had, he didn't have a drug problem, he had a gambling problem when he was young. He was he worked for his father's firm, and while he was working for his father's firm, He got to gambling, and he ended up stealing and going to prison for that. And he ended up homeless on the strip in Las Vegas, eating out of dumpsters and things like that. And then he discovered the law of attraction and got some other assistance as well, and turned his entire life around. Today, like you, he's a life coach, very successful, living in the Richmond, Virginia area. Just, completely turned that into a springboard. So I tell you all that because I want to ask you a question that's very much tied to his own heart. Because in his view, all of that stuff he went through was actually the best stuff he could have gone through, because it gave him the springboard he needed. It gave him the push that he needed to really make the changes in his life that not only just turned his life around, but helped him to live a life that was far beyond anything he could possibly imagine at that time. So even though he certainly didn't like living on the street or eating out of a dumpster or anything like that, he considers that some of the most fortunate things that ever happened to him. So I'm kind of curious, do you have any kind of a similar feeling about the stuff you went through?
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with what he went through, and what I went through is a blessing. Now, I look at it, before I used to look at it like, wow.
Oops, we lost you. Oh, there you are. We lost your voice for a second there.
Oh, when I look back on it, it really truly is a blessing, because that is what made me the man that I am today. And what really changed my life was when I found out I was going to have a baby. Like my son was, when I was going to find out I was going to have a baby, I said, I got to take care of myself, because if I don't take care of myself, who's going to take care of him?
Sure.
So then I got on a diet, lost about 80 pounds, and but then started working on my mindset to try to pursue something different, because I remember one time listening to an audio by Les Brown, and he said, many people will leave the universe without a trace, and under their name you can put not used up. And I said, that's me, man. I'm not being used up. I'm not really using my full potential, and like, what am I here for? I'm here to serve and help people, and that's what my purpose is. But getting back to what happened to me in my life, I agree 100%. That happened to me for a reason. It had to happen in order for me to help other people, help young people. Yeah, definitely. What I gone through has helped me to help other people.
Very cool. And he also waxes eloquently about the concept of struggle. A lot of people get frustrated by struggle. He thinks struggle is one of the best things that there is on earth, because the best growth happens when we struggle. And at first I was a little resistant to his concept, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized I think he's right. Struggle is important, because if you don't struggle, then you don't have fabulous victories.
Yes. Yeah, if you don't, you got to struggle and you got to fail. The other day I was at a motivational speaking class. It's kind of a motivational interview, it's called. It's a technique to help you to be a better life coach. And they said that mistakes are gifts. Failures are gifts. It's a gift. You got to look at it as a gift, because when you fail, you learn. But many people, what they do is that they fail, and that's actually one of the fears that I come across a lot, is failure, fear of failure. Many people fear failure, and if they do fail in life, they fail once and then they give up. Some people don't even take a swing at it, but some people, they take a swing and they try and then they fail and they say, you know what, this is not for me.
Yeah, sure. And I'd say that's a fairly common occurrence.
That's one of the fears.
I mean, it's actually not necessarily a problem unless you give up completely, and that's where what I think really happens. They try something, they fail, and then they give up completely. They give up on dreaming. They give up on trying anything. They just kind of throw in the towel on life and say, I'm done. And that's what the real problem is. It's actually fine to try one thing and fail. No, it's not really for me. Try the next thing and fail. No, it's not for me. And until you find the thing that you really love. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the part where you just try something, you give up, and I don't know what to do, so my life is over. That's it.
Yes. Yeah. People, they think that, this is it. I'm not going to try it again because I don't want to get hurt. People don't want to get hurt. Right. But in the process of this, you're going to get hurt. I mean, to this day, it happens. Like sometimes I have my days where I have a little bit of anxiety creep up, and I'm like, man, like, should I still keep going, still doing this? And I've had my doubts. Like, nobody's perfect, and if you're perfect, then you're a liar.
This is true. Yeah. One of our listeners, one of our live stream listeners has commented, Saira is saying, struggle is not a failure, it's a stepping stone to something bigger, which is a wonderful way to look at it.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful.
I like that. That's really good. So tell us a little bit more about some of the journey that you've had. Tell us some stories about your experience since you made the jump. Because first of all, tell us a little bit about how you made the jump. Because you were working in a corporate job, you weren't really happy about it. Tell us about that story a little bit.
So when I was working at that job that I didn't like, I still remember the day that I decided to quit my job was I was sitting at my desk and I was asking myself, like, oh man, should I quit this job? I hate this job. Like, should I just leave? What should I do? And then I was listening to Eric Thomas in my ear, and he said, you must be willing to sacrifice what you are for what you will become. And then that just hit me, and I said, man, I gotta quit. And then I went to my supervisor at the time, and I said, hey, Mary, I gotta talk to you. And then she's like, are you okay? What's going on? And so we sat down, and then I said, I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice. And she said, what? Really? Like, but the pay's good. Like, why would you leave? And I said, I just gotta quit. Like, it's just I gotta do. I found something else that I wanted to do. And really, I didn't know kind of like what I was doing, man. I was still kind of like unsure, but I was sure that I didn't want to stay there. So then I put in my 2 weeks notice, and then from there I started to do some coaching on my own, but I didn't succeed. I failed, and I had to get back into working again, but working at jobs that I hated again, just repeating that cycle. But then I started working at a shelter with I started working at a shelter with kids who had been through a lot of things in their lives. I'm talking like some of the worst things that you could possibly think of, like kind of like your buddy, Joel. You say Joel?
Joel, yeah, Joel. Mm-hmm.
Joel. So a lot of these kids, they've been through a lot, and they're kids from like Guatemala and Honduras. So they had been through a lot of stuff, and in that shelter, I pretty much started to coach them and mentor them and give them courses on like self-love, believing in themselves, and I would just give them classes. And I remember one day a couple of kids, I still remember their names, Luis Miguel and Rowelito. I remember these kids came up to me and they said, hey, teacher, because they call me teacher. They don't know how they teacher, but they say teacher.
That's all right.
Show us some English. And I'm like, I'm doing better than good and better than most. And they're like, huh? And very the good, very the most. And I was like, okay, no, something else. Algo más. They're like, algo más. And then I'm like, okay, say I believe in myself. And then they're like, I believe in myself. Okay, that one's better. So from that day forth, the kids, I would tell them, hey, I believe in myself. So they would go up to me and be like, teacher, I believe in myself. I believe in myself. And I remember one day we were at we were in a room with, it was about 80 kids. And some of the toughest kids, they're like, I was like, hey guys, we're going to start, like, I was talking to them, I was like, we're going to say some affirmations. Everybody stand up. And some of them were like, like the tough ones are like, man, this is stupid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was like saying, hey, everybody say I believe in myself. And they were like, I believe in myself. I believe. Like, they were yelling out really loud. Uh-huh. Even the security came like, hey, everything okay? Everything okay? Like, because it was really loud. But they were like, no, everything's cool, man. It's just, we're getting a little bit into the affirmations or whatever. But so that's where my brand came from. That's kind of like the story behind it. Like, I believe in myself. That's why I came up with the name, like, for my company. I believe in myself.
Oh, that's what you call your company. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe in myself. Some people are like, I believe in myself, like, yeah. But I'm like, well, yeah, it's just, it has a meaning, it's not like if I just say, hey, I believe in myself.
Oh, yeah.
But,
no, that's a good name. I like the name. I like it takes a little bit of outside the Hispanic culture into the Jewish culture. It takes a little chutzpah to call your company that, but that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
But
So yes, that's how the name came about. Like doing that and working with foster kids, um, and well, right now, like I like I'm starting to get into maybe possibly coaching teenagers now too.
very good.
Getting into it. Yeah, because I love kids, man. Today I actually gave a speech to my first graders class. I even brought like a little stuffed animal,
Mm-hmm.
like that I bought.
Sock puppet
And
kind of thing.
yeah, and just talking to them about affirmations, bullying, and just self-love, how much I believe in them. And I mean, it's just little first graders, but it was like a 20-minute speech because I don't think they'd take like an hour and a half speech. They're,
Right.
the attention span, but it was cool. Like the 20 minutes, they were really engaged. They were yelling at the top of their lungs. I
Cool.
put it on Facebook Live. Anybody can check it out if they ever want to. Like,
Oh, great.
they can.
I presume I presume that your Facebook page is called "I Believe in Myself."
Yeah, I believe in myself.
So that's what
Yes.
people have to look in order to go find that. Okay.
Yes, and then I have like weekly material where I talk about like self-awareness, consciousness, coach. Like I just give tips to people and little tools that they could use to improve their lives because the simplest tools can change your life. Gratitude, journaling, meditation, mindfulness. These little tools that people would have never even thought of using, they can change your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way they changed my life.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Well, you change the way you think, you change the way you feel, you change your experience, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kids in particular, I really like the topic of because I like kids. I think kids are great. But I also like the topic because of two reasons. One reason is, and this is something actually one of my other co-hosts pointed out to me recently. I hadn't really thought about it, but it's really true. Kids are much closer to the non-physical realms than we are because they were there more recently than we were. The longer that we are alive, the more we become adults and so forth, the more acclimated, I guess you could say, we are to the physical world. But kids, they're closer to the time when they were born, and so there's some degree of memory of that. So I always find that kids are an amazing source of inspiration and often insight. Kids have amazing insights. I imagine I can see you nodding your head. Yeah, you see the same thing, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, yes.
And so much
my
to learn
son,
from
he's
them.
always coming up with the funniest things. Just
Mhm.
my 6-year-old, he just he amazes me sometimes. Just how he says that. Like the other day, he was telling me, I was like, "What do you think about?" Well, what I do is in my brain, my mind, it downloads my thought, and then I just say it to you. Like just little things like that. That you're just like, oh, cool, that's pretty cool. Like sometimes, like my 4-year-old, he'll be crying. The other day he was crying, and he's like, my 4-year-old, his name is Abram, and my 6-year-old is Andres. And my 6-year-old tells him, because my 4-year-old was saying, I can't do it, and then he says, Abram, if you tell yourself that you can't, that means that you can't. But if you tell yourself that you can, that means that you can.
Cool.
So tell yourself you can. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
Very good.
they really listen, man. They pay attention.
Oh, they do.
Like, you gotta watch yourself, man.
You can't get away with it, too.
Oh, no, I say a bad word like, ooh, daddy, you said F-word. I heard you. I'm like, hey, this guy, you're right, and I gotta hold myself accountable and say, yeah, no, you're right, I'm sorry. A bad word, I shouldn't be saying that, but
Robin Williams had a terrific take on that because he ran into the same issue, of course, with his children, and he recalls thinking to himself, that on one particular occasion where that happened, it was like having his father, his dead father, over his shoulder, going, "Ha, ha, revenge is mine."
great.
But I love kids. One of my reasons that I really love kids is that I helped to found an alternative school back in 2002, and it was based on what's known as the Sudbury model, which is a very leading edge kind of school, we'll call it that. It's a very edgy concept because it puts the kids 100% in control of their day, which is kind of tough for adults to handle. Having the kids be in total control of what they're going to do all day long that's a little bit out there. But it's a fun model, and it's really
Yeah.
interesting to set up a school like that. And that's where I really came to appreciate a lot of things about kids. One of the things that I really appreciate is something that I call the built-in compass. It is the ability of a kid, if you just let them do or let her do what they need to do, they will just try things, keep trying things until they find the one thing that they most need to learn at that particular time. You don't have to guide them there. You don't have to introduce them to the concept. You don't have to expose them to stuff. You just have to let them go. And when you do, it's like an unerring instinct that guides them right to where it is they need to learn next. It's really something. Yeah, you've seen the same thing?
Nice. Yeah, no, I agree 100%, man. With school, I'm really like the type of person. I don't want to say anything bad against school or anything like that, but I feel like there should be like an alternative school, but like an entrepreneur school. Like I see that. You know what I mean? Just like in my mind, I feel that these kids, if we tell them that they can do it and really, really instill in their brains that they can accomplish whatever they want, they will accomplish it. And because throughout, actually, there's this great story by Les Brown. He talks about how there's two boys. They're playing on thin ice, and then the ice breaks, and one of the boys goes under.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, his other buddy, he's like an 8-year-old, grabs a branch and then starts hitting the ice and starts doing like a circular motion, and some way, somehow, he breaks through the ice and saves his. And then when the paramedics get there, the paramedics are like, they're like in awe. They're like, how did this little guy with that little branch break through this ice? And there was an old man, like a white-haired man, older, and he says, you know why he did it? And they're all like, why? Because nobody told him that he couldn't.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
I love that too, man.
That is
beautiful
fabulous.
Because how many times are we told that we can't do something?
Right?
I mean, I think like by the time we're 18, I think we're told like I don't know how many thousands of times the word no.
Oh, it's crazy.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's crazy. No, I agree with you.
Yeah,
100%.
that just reminds me of that story.
Good story. I love it. Saira has a kind of a comment question thing for us. Let me see if I got it straight here. I'm doing a little copy and pasting because it gets a little bit tough times to read off of Facebook. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but Facebook has type that is too small. That's just all there is to it. Their type is too small. Especially for those of us with aging eyes, it just doesn't work. I'm sorry. But,
Yeah.
but Saira wanted to say to you, my kids said the same thing to each other. The daughter told the 4-year-old, you can do it and you will, and wanted to share that comment with you. Very,
Beautiful,
very cool.
beautiful, excellent. You're
And
teaching them right.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
been amazing.
And then Nasha kind of asked a question. It was a question comment. She says, I mean, is there a way to shift one's thought and love ourselves? Which is really what you're trying to teach them. So, I mean, address that for Nasha for a second.
So for me, when I truly started loving myself was when the first step that I took was I created my values. What values do I want to live by, not what everybody else wants to live by. So when I wrote down my values, the man that I wanted to be, I read those values. To this day, I read them every week to make sure that I stay in alignment with what I want in my life. And some of my values are, I want to be a person that doesn't talk bad about people. I want to be a person that praises people. Because me, man, before I was like the biggest person to criticize. I would always be making fun of people, bagging on people, and I was really bad at that. And that's something that I wanted to change. I wanted to be seen as a person that encourages people, not a person that criticizes people. Because I could see that people were judging me. They were like, oh, here comes Andres. You know,
get out of the way.
Don't tell Andres because, you know, he'll start saying that you're fat or you're ugly or that. So I think that's what the comedy, you know, I watch too much comedy, I think, that it got to the point where I was like trying to be Mr. Comedy at all times. But what helped me, I was like, I want to be a person who is an instrument in the hands of God. I want to be a person who is helping my community. I want to be a person that makes family a priority. I want to be a person that I don't drink to get drunk. That's something that I had to put, man, because I was I would get drunk. I would drink a 30 pack in the night.
Oh, geez.
Do like an 8-ball of, you know what I mean? Just do like an 8-ball of coke. You know what I mean? Just
wow.
I was out of control, man. I was out of control, and I had to change. And once I wrote my values, man, it's funny because when I started seeing those values, I started attracting the people.
Oh, we lost your volume again. Oh, almost.
Somebody was calling me right there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. No, so when I studied these values that I want to live by, I wasn't living by other people's values. That's what happens in life, man. A lot of people, they start living by other people's values
yes.
and not by their own values.
Right.
So you got to take that first step. And there's a book. If I don't know, Nasha, I think you said, if you want, she can send me a message, and then I can send her. I can't remember what the book is called, but it's called. I can't remember, but I even have the book. But it's like the 8 principles, and it starts off with, what values do you want to live by? What values do you want to live? Like, who do you want to be? Many people don't even know who they are, and that's why they can't even love themselves, because they don't know who they are. How are you gonna love yourself when you don't even know who you are? And then you get into relationships with people that are broken, just like you, and I'm not saying anybody in particular, but just, like me, like, or anybody. You get into relationships with people that are broken. 2 broken people can't fix anything. So you got to have self-love, and then you start finding people that have self-love, because when you have the values that you want to live by, and you're living by those values, people see it in you, and they say, wow, this person loves themselves. This person is different. This person is so positive. I want to be around this person. And right now, I'm attracting. Man, I attracted you. Look at you. I'm talking to you, man. I've never even met you. Yep. The first time I met you, I already like you, because I don't know, man. The way that you talk, the way that you speak, I know you have a great mindset. You know Steve, so I definitely know you're a great man. And
I love it.
I'm serious, man. It's the truth. It's the truth. I feel you, man. Like I feel your energy. You have amazing energy, man. And it doesn't even matter how old you are, man. I know 20, 30-year-olds that have the worst energy in the world.
I was one of them.
A lot of it has to do with the environment. Yeah, me too. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, I think values define who you want to be and write it down. This is another thing that people do. They don't write it down. You got to write it down and look at it every single day. Law of attraction. You have to attract what you want, but write it down. Write it down and look at it every single day for the first couple of years, and then later on, maybe just every week. Every week I look at it, and I have it on my vision board, man. Every time I wake up, I see it. That's the man I want to be. I don't want to deviate back to who I used to be, because if I go back to who I used to be, I'm going to be miserable, and I don't want to be miserable. I'm a happy guy.
Very good. Yeah, I like that. Hey, I wanted to share something with you, and because I totally understand what you were saying about how people can be broken and so forth. But I also want to point out, actually, nobody is ever really broken. What we have are people who keep making the same choices that they don't like the result of over and over again. But they're not really broken.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, good point. Yeah, you're right. That's a better way of putting it, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, you're right, man. We keep making the same decisions. Like Wayne Dyer says, a woman, she's walking down the street, and she falls into she sees a hole, and she falls into the hole. The next week, she walks down the same street, she sees a hole, and she still falls into that hole some way, somehow. And next week, she comes, and then she's going towards the hole, but she goes around the hole. The following week, she decides to just take a different street.
Yep. There it is. Very simple.
It's just, yeah.
So
yeah,
this actually ties into the intro that Steve gave me to talk about who you were, because that intro had a very interesting little phrase in it, and I want to ask you about that phrase. The one sentence I'm referring to says, as a life coach, Andres helps his clients overcome the 5 fears that are holding back many people from living their full potential. What are the 5 fears?
Okay, so the 5 fears first we talked about was, and there's really no particular order, but the one that we had talked about was failure. Fear of failure. Fear of failing. I come across this many times. People are scared to fail because they failed in the past. Maybe they didn't pass the bar exam. Right now, I'm currently coaching a lawyer, and she is scared of failing if she tries to go to be a life coach because her family says, "You want to be a life coach? What a joke! Come on, you're a lawyer. We're lawyers. Our families are lawyers. We're not life coaches. That's stupid."
She's got the legal tradition.
Yes, the tradition. Yep.
Yeah.
So that was the first one, and then the fear of rejection, which is kind of like the same as failure, I guess, in a way. But the fear of getting rejected. You know, like if they maybe go for something and then they're rejected, then they're going to feel like, oh man, then this was not for me. The next one is the fear of stepping out of their comfort zone.
Oh, yes.
Many of us, we stay in our comfort zone. We don't want to try something different because it's too scary. It's the unknown. And then it's the next one is fear of caring about what people say about us. So that one right there is huge, huge. I come across that one a lot. And then the last one is fear of not feeling worthy. Who would listen to me? Who am I to do this type of work? I'm like, why not? You have a great story. You have amazing experience. You've done a lot of great things in your life. Why wouldn't you be worthy? And then they get into their heads, and like Tony Robbins says, you get in your head and you're dead. So you gotta follow that heart, man. It's the heart. The heart is where the truth is at, man. But we get into our heads, and before you know it, this is what I talk a lot about. Like in my workshops, I talk about self-talk. I talk about thoughts. The power of your word, man. Your word turns into a thought, creates a feeling, an action, and then a result. And then you get a really bad result, which leads to another bad thought. And it's just a vicious cycle of just negativity that you're living on a daily basis. And this is why we are depressed. This is why we're feeling anxious. We're looking at social media, comparing ourselves to everybody. Oh my God, like I don't have this iPhone. I don't have, I'm not going on vacation like those people. I don't have this materialistic thing. I'm not worthy of this because the people who are worthy of it, they're doing great things, and I'm not. I'm not amazing. Like, we judge ourselves more than other people judge us.
That's true. That's very true. Okay, now I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. First, are you familiar with the teaching of Abraham Hicks?
Somewhat. Yeah, I've heard some of it.
Somewhat. Okay. All right, so, yeah, some familiarity, so that's good. Abraham, one of the things that Abraham likes to talk about is the two-ended stick. The two-ended stick is where you want to have, say, I don't know, you want to have a better career, but what you tend to focus on is the fact that you lack a better career. The two ends of the stick are the thing and the lack end of the thing. And in fact, that's actually what the true opposites are in the world. We think of like life and death or love and hate being opposites, but it's really love and lack of love that are the opposites. That's one of their main points that they make. So with that concept in mind, I always like to try to take any time that we're talking about negatives, I like to try to ask myself, okay, so the negative is the lack end. What's the thing end? What's the positive end of the stick? So if here's where I'm putting you on the spot. If you take your 5 fears, what's the flip side of those fears? What's the positive end of those fears? Okay.
So with the fear of being rejected,
yep.
Because I used to do door-to-door sales before.
I've done that too.
And I was selling like, oh dude, that was tough. It gave me a lot of tough, like it gave me thick skin. Being rejected has given me so much thick skin. Sometimes I'll send 100 emails to different schools and I'll get like 2-3 replies. And now I celebrate, man. I celebrate the rejection. I'm like, yes, I got a no, baby. Yeah. I got to be enthusiastic about it. And even like when I get a no with my coachings, I'm like, yeah, they didn't take me as their coach. Yes. I celebrate. And I really, no matter what happens, man, I don't lose enthusiasm. Because once I lose my enthusiasm, my energy goes down and people can feel it. People can see it. And they say, this guy, something's wrong. He's not going to give me energy. He wants to be my coach and look at his energy. His energy is lower than mine. He's not going to be able to coach me. So with the failures, that we got to look at it as a learning experience. Never look at it I'll give you an example. I started a nonprofit, and then I said, oh my God, like, I don't want to do a nonprofit. After I dealt with like probably anxiety for like 2 months, just thinking about it. This was just recent, man. because I wanted to do nonprofit so I could just kind of like prove myself that I could do bigger things and all this stuff. But really, I wasn't doing it for myself because I wanted to. I just wanted to prove myself. I don't know why, but I ended up saying, you know what, I'm not gonna do it. I lost $300, but it was a good experience. You know, I may have lost $300, but it was good that I did that. I failed, but I learned from it. And never again will I follow in trying to prove myself to other people and doing something that I truly don't want to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. So that's like with the failure. Just learn from your failures, man.
Let's go to the one.
Stepping out.
Let's go to the one about what other people say, because Sayura asked a question. She says, I've lived in a culture where it's always been about what others will say, so how do I shift this paradigm?
Okay, so that goes back kind of like to the values, like who do you want to be and what do you want to do? And at the same time, sometimes we have to set some boundaries with these people who are always talking a lot of negative things. We got to say, you know what, I really don't like, the way that you're talking to me this way, being respectful about it. They don't respect that. That means that maybe you got to get rid of them, or you got to kind of distance yourself, because sometimes it could be family. So maybe you could just send a text message, hey, how you going on? Or brother or whatever. Oh, everything's great. Wonderful. All right. Maybe I'll see you at the barbecue. Maybe I won't. Whatever. But sometimes you got to distance yourself, man, because these people can be. It's like if a stranger comes to you and in your coffee he pours sugar, you're not gonna die. But if a relative comes over and pours venom in your coffee, then you'll die. You really got to watch out who's putting either the sugar or the venom in your coffee, man. And a lot of the times we have people put seeds in our minds that can be destructing for ourselves. And then we end up saying, you know what, they're right. I can't do this. Mm-hmm. And then we give up because of other people's opinions. So we really got to set boundaries with these people. And if they don't respect that, maybe we got to get rid of them and keep it real, because you only live one life, man. Even if it's your family, your friends, you don't want to live a life of regret because of one person. One negative fruit can spoil the whole batch, man. And you got to really be conscious of your environment. Your environment will either make you or break you, man.
It's very true. Yeah, that's the way that'll tend to work out if you don't take control of the situation. I actually, you talked earlier about how you had dealt with the major drug issues and weight issues and so forth. When I was in my early 20s, I was very much into the drug and alcohol scene, and I actually just reached the point where I said, I don't like living this way anymore. I don't like the way it feels. But I also knew that I couldn't just say I'm going to quit doing the drugs and keep everything else the same, because most of my friends were partiers. It wasn't going to work. So I literally had to, the way I thought of it in my mind, I didn't say it this way to them, but the way I thought it in my mind was, I had to fire my friends.
Yeah.
I had to fire them, say, sorry, you're out of my life. You're gone. History. Sayonara. Goodbye.
Yes. Yeah. And to this day, you still see people that are 40, 50 years old. I still, sometimes I would go to get-togethers and I see these 40, 50-year-old men still doing cocaine, and they're kind of like, hey, what's up, man? You want to do something? I'm like, no, I'm good, man. Thank you. Whatever. But I'm like, okay, you know what? It's crazy, man, how that could have been me.
Sure.
I could have been, in this I'm 35 right now. What if I would have still been doing the same thing? I could have probably maybe gone up to my 40, 50, 60 years old and still be doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. And you're right, man. Sometimes you got to fire your friends. I mean, I still keep in contact with some of them, but we don't hang out or anything because we are into different things, and it's cool, man. I respect that,
Sorry, my video went off. I gotta turn it back on. It'll be back in a second.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. No one's sending me videos.
No, I can hear you just fine. I just hit the wrong key. That's all.
Gotcha.
Now, Preston posted a comment here, and I think he's touching on some of the stuff we're talking about here, so I wanted to run it by you to see what you think. He says,
okay,
it comes down to love and gratitude of self and going within with meditation, because when you meditate, it focuses you on the now. And if you go within and start increasing your love of yourself and gratitude for what you have, then what the external holds doesn't faze you, regardless of what people say, think, or do, or what your ego mind says, because you know you're in control.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's great, man. Yeah, That's really good meditation. Yeah, I practice meditation every single day. I keep a gratitude journal in my back pocket at all times, and I always write what I'm grateful for, man. Always writing what I'm grateful for, and it could be the littlest things. My son giving me a kiss on the cheek and saying, "Dad, I love you." I'll write it down on my gratitude journal. Things like that. Yeah, meditation, man, is very powerful. I agree. Yeah, so that was great comment, man. Appreciate it.
Very, very good. So let's see. Let's go at some of the other failures or not failures, the other fears that we haven't reversed yet. What else can we reverse?
The feeling of not feeling worthy. There's something that is called cognitive reframing. Reframe that thought. Change it. If you say, I'm not good enough, say, I am good enough. And just keep saying it over and over again. And it's like that law of attraction, the more you say it, the more you start to believe it. I keep myself like affirmations every single day. I tell myself affirmations, like even when I'm about to go give a speech, I look at my bracelet. It's right here. It says, I believe in myself. I carry this at all times. And I do believe in myself, and I believe in my abilities. And whenever I'm having like a down moment, I talk to myself and say, I am worthy of this. What am I saying? What day when I was going to give the speech at my son's school, I was actually thinking about not doing it for a reason. Like I was thinking, what if I make a fool out of myself and then make my son look, embarrass him? And then I watched. It was so funny because I was looking through YouTube and I saw a video by Fred Rogers, and it was a speech by Fred Rogers, and he says how we have to be kind to people. We have to, through TV, we have to provide service that will change people's lives. And I said, man, why am I thinking about my fears? Like, I'm only thinking about myself. I got to be thinking about my son and the people that are around him. And I said, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do great. And it went great, man. It was 20 minutes and the kids were really engaged. They were yelling, I believe in myself. I love myself. You can check it out on Facebook Live if you want to see it. But it was amazing. It was cool.
Very good.
So,
yeah. You mentioned Fred Rogers, too. Fred Rogers is fabulous. Have you seen the biopic that was done on him a few years ago?
No, I want to watch the documentary.
Yeah.
I want to watch that. Did you watch it?
It's great. It's excellent. Yeah. A lot of old footage, a lot of old film footage of him going back to the very earliest days of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and so forth. Just really cool. And it also included it also included the talk that he gave to Congress about funding for PBS back in the 1960s when they were thinking of cutting it. And the speech that he made, have you heard about that? He made this one speech at that time that basically earned PBS the entire endowment that they were looking for from Congress.
Wow.
Really something.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to watch it for sure, man, because, Fred Rogers, he was a true inspiration, man.
He was.
To many people, to the whole world.
He had an amazing ability and understanding of the need of kids for validation, and that's what you're talking about here. That you've been talking about that quite a bit. The need for validation, the need for feeling good about themselves. That's one of the most important things there is, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Kids, they're really. I come across this a lot that they're more worried about what others say about them, which is something that it's not even kids; it's just adults too. And they're always telling me, man, I'm always thinking like, what are people thinking about me? Like, I always want to know what these kids, like, what my friends or people are thinking about me. Like, I come across that a lot. They're always telling me, I always wonder what people are thinking about me. I'm always worried about what people are thinking about me. But that's a huge one right there.
It is. It's very big. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Nasha had another comment. She says, I live in a culture where they judge everything, but I no longer care because I do believe in myself. And that's a big comment right there for Nasha. Nasha's been working on this for a long time now. She's a long-time listener of the podcast, and has been. She's asked a lot of people for help. A lot of co-hosts have gotten involved and so forth, and she's been working on this. So to see her say, "I no longer care about that because I do believe in myself," that's a big thing for her.
Love it. I love it. And Nasha, if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And be more than happy to help you with whatever I can. I'm here to support you. I'm here to support anybody that is on here. I love helping people, man. That's my purpose. My purpose in life is to help save lives, and to save lives by just simply giving them some confidence in themselves, some some inspiration, just some of my words to bring them happiness brings me happiness.
Yeah, that's good stuff. No doubt about that. Hey, I got a question here, and then I also have a comment from Steve who poked his head in. But before I get to Steve, I want to read the question. The question is from Saira. She says, Andres, is it better to write affirmations or to say them in the head daily?
Okay, actually both. Write them out and say them daily.
Do both.
And then, sometimes what I do is I keep them in my bathroom. I keep them in my car. I actually have a card right here, affirmation card right here. Boom, right there. You got to keep them everywhere. Keep them everywhere. Even if people think that you're like going crazy or anything like that, you know what, man? I'm going crazy to love myself. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. Very good. That's good stuff. And then Steve also has a question for you. And Steve, feel free to jump on the platform. He says he managed to get a little time. Even if you spend 5 minutes, Steve, we'd love to have you. This is your show too. This is your time slot, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So he says, I've managed to get a little time. A question for Andres: how important is it to make young people aware that they are actually in control of their own thoughts and ultimately their own feelings? How do you go about this? It's so important to get them out of the people-pleasing mindset, he says.
Yes. You know what it is, man? It's repetition. And repetition of us telling them that they can do whatever they want, that they can change their thoughts. When I work with foster kids, I teach them about the tools, man. We got to give them these tools, tools of self-awareness, the tools of cognitive reframing. You can change your thought immediately. And you know what's cool about kids, man, is that they are more willing to learn than adults. Some adults, we are so trained for so many years, man, that it's sometimes really hard to get away from that. But as a kid, if you teach them this tool very early, they will never forget. Like my son, he's 6 years old. He's like, hey, if you tell yourself that you can and you can't, then you're right. The kid is learning, man, and these kids, we can teach them so much with just the littlest self-awareness. Is your thought, is it true? Somebody called you stupid. Are you really stupid? No, you're not. That person just called you a name. You failed the test. Are you dumb? No, you're just lazy. Come on.
Oh, that's funny.
That was me.
Oh, that's hysterical. No, you're not dumb. You're just lazy. Oh, that's great. That one caught me on the funny button.
Nice.
That's very good. But yes, I agree with you. In fact, Steve's question is a really good question because in fact, that would even expand the question now that I think about it. His question is, how important is it to make young people aware? But like you said, it's young people are the ones who are able to make the change quickest. You called it,
yes.
What you call cognitive, what's the term you used to describe that?
Cognitive reframing.
Reframing, yeah. Which is,
reframing the thought.
Yeah, basically the same idea of what Abraham calls pivoting. It's the same concept. Taking the negative way of thinking of it and turning it into a positive way of looking at it. So, it's essentially the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it also occurs to me that, like you said, kids are really very quick at being able to do that. Adults have more trouble with it because of all the subconscious programming we've developed over the years, usually pretty negative stuff. Yeah. So it can take longer for us to make changes and make shifts. And so that's why I would also add in, it isn't just about us making the young people aware, it's also paying attention to what the young people can make us aware of, because they have they have these incredible insights. We gave some examples earlier on, stories of you let young people just do what they're going to do, and what was the kid did? He broke through the ice by making circles on it, which of course would baffle most human adults.
Branch. Yeah. If an adult was there, they'd be like, "What the hell are you doing?
Don't do that. That's not going to help."
Yeah, but the kid just was doing it, man, and he believed that he was going to some way somehow do it, and he did it,
Crazy, so But it shows just that there are these amazing ways that kids can teach us stuff that is almost mind-boggling to adults, and requires actually letting us put our own egos aside in order to learn from it, because we're used to the idea that the adults should be teaching the kids, not the other way around.
Yeah.
That takes learning.
It's true, man. It's true. I learn from my kids, man. They do teach me a lot of great things. because you gotta live your life like a kid, man. Because we're all grown kids, honestly. We really are. We're grown kids. We still have those triggers that somebody says something, you're like, did they just say? You're like, did you just hear what she said about me?
Mm-hmm.
I know she's talking about me. She's not. I know she's over there, but I know she's talking about me. I bet you.
You're good at it. It's always good to have a skill. It's just not one of them.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Oh, that's fun. We got about 9 minutes left, so I'm looking to see if there are any other questions. I don't really see any other questions from the audience, so I'm just going to go back to some of my own questions. Okay, we've explored. Let's see, have we covered all five with positive alternatives? We've done fear of rejection.
I think in the comfort zone.
Comfort zone. We didn't do that. You're right. So talk about that. How do we reframe that one?
That one, you got to do what's uncomfortable, man. You must do step into something, do something different. Like if you're used to just working and just going home and watching TV, watching some hoops, do something different. Change it up and say, you know what, man, I'm gonna go to a Toastmasters meeting. I'm gonna go to a mastermind group in Facebook. I'm just gonna join new people, whatever it is. I see Steve there. Join
Hey, there he is. Hey, Steve, how you doing?
I jump on. I've got a spare 5 minutes. So,
well, we got about 7 left, so that works.
Nice.
I'm still halfway through eating a burger, so.
Well, as long as you don't chew in my face, I'm okay with that.
No, I won't do that. So I've been listening in. It's awesome because I think that the stuff that you're talking about with kids is brilliant, because if you actually think about it from a logical point of view, when you've got children, they haven't got the subconscious programs that we've developed over a period of years. So if you look at like 2 and 3 year olds, anything's possible for them. They don't have any fear around anything. They're quite happy to go off and do awesome different things and jump into anything. Whereas when we get to sort of 15, 16 and onwards, we've already got subconscious programs that our parents have put in place, schools put in place about what's possible and what isn't. And that's learned, but we can unlearn all that stuff. And I think that's what I've got from this podcast today that you've both been talking about, is that you can unlearn what you learned as a child and through your early adult years if you decide to make different choices. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's true, man. And you know what? But you got to do the work. That's the thing. People don't do the work. I journal every single day. I work on my meditation every day. I work out every day. I take a cold shower. I've been taking a cold shower for 1.5 years now. And man, that cold shower.
I take a warm shower. Not cold showers.
Cold showers are life changing, man. I honestly, you read into it. It actually is good for it's good for depression. It's good for a lot of things, man. It's good for your skin, for your hair, whatever. There's a lot of benefits to it. It's a little bit crazy. Tony Robbins does it. That's why I said, you know what, I'm gonna take a shower, cold shower, and I've been doing it for 1.5 years, and I feel amazing.
Well, you have to understand, Tony Robbins actually takes a cold shower because he's walking on the hot coals. He has to offset it, you see.
It does make sense in a way, because if you think about it, the cold shower is going to bring you into the present moment, I suppose, because you've got that shock of the cold, and that's got to bring you to the now, and you're in the present moment. So I suppose then you're not worrying about the future, you're not thinking about the past, so you're in a place where you can create whatever you want moving forward then. So that makes sense.
Yeah, and then the first time, I guarantee you'll yell like a little girl. That's what I did. I was yelling, I said, it's like, what is this? Yeah, you'll yell, trust me.
I don't yell, I just turn back to warm again. It's very simple.
Can I challenge you, the both of you? Can I challenge both of you?
You can try.
Okay, I want to challenge you guys to take a cold bath for 3 days straight.
Oh, it's a bath now. It's gone from a shower to a bath.
No. A cold shower, 3 days. That's it.
So I have to spend all day in the shower? Wow.
No. Just when you wake
No, you're just being silly now.
That's just my way of deflecting. Like, no, there's no way I'm going to take a cold shower for 3 days. It's just not happening. I'm sorry.
All right, well, go shower in the morning. All right?
I might try it. I'll have a think about that. But I might give it.
Let me know.
I do agree that
the people in the
I do agree with the concept of changing the perspective when it comes to being in a comfort zone, because that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about getting out of that comfort zone, and there are a lot of ways to look at it. One of the ways I like to look at getting out of comfort zones is, first of all, to recognize that Steve and you and I have talked about this quite a bit. Comfort zones are very uncomfortable. And when I recognize and realize just how uncomfortable a comfort zone is, I don't really want to stay there very long. I don't need to take a cold shower to come to that conclusion. Like, I want to get out of that comfort zone quickly, as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So that for me is like the biggest one. The second thing too that I like to think about with the comfort zone is that when you're leaving what is called a comfort zone, what you're really going into is an excitement zone. So I like to think of the outside area as an excitement area. That to me is much more of a carrot. I like the carrot rather than the stick approach.
That's what it should be like. But for the majority of people, coming out of the comfort zone creates fear. Until you do that often enough, that your subconscious mind then realizes that actually, once I've done that, I get a result that's actually better than where I was. And now I actively go and look for things that push me outside of my comfort zone on purpose. I look for those things on purpose. Whereas before I started all this work, 7 years ago, I'd be the quiet person who'd hide in a corner and not get involved in anything because I didn't want to go out of my comfort zone, because that felt safer. But actually, once you start doing it, and it's a gradual thing, yes, at first it's scary, but it's a gradual thing. Once you start doing that and you push yourself a little bit, then next time you want to go a little bit further and a little bit further. It's this micro-shifting thing that we've talked about before as well.
Right.
Gradually helping the subconscious mind to create a new way of being in a nice, easy, step-by-step way. So it's not too much. It's not too much for it to handle, so that it just freaks out and runs away and hides in a corner. No, we're going to do a little bit at a time, and then eventually we get a massive change out of that. And that's what this stuff's all about. It's so simple, yet so difficult for people to work with unless they've got somebody to facilitate that for them and with them.
That's good.
Because I can't do it on myself at times. I have to get somebody else outside of me to help me to facilitate that in myself, because my subconscious doesn't do it. And it will stay where it is if it can, because that's its job. Its job is to keep us in that comfort zone and keep us safe. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and you said you need somebody to work with, so I just want to let everybody know, all the listeners know, that if any of you are interested in a free, powerful coaching session with myself, please send me an email to contact@IbelieveInMyself.org. You can look me up on Facebook, Andres Ruiz. Send me a message, and we'll set up a session, and it'll be powerful. I'll help you with your strategy to make sure you accomplish that vision and get past that fear that is stopping you from unleashing your greatness.
Beautiful. Love it.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
And I would recommend contacting Andres, because he's actually helped me with my public speaking side of things. He's fantastic. He's already got a lot of experience in public speaking, and he's given me some really good tools. So if you wanted to learn more about that, I'd definitely give him a shout.
Excellent. All right. Well, Andres, thank you for joining us and sharing these wonderful pieces of wisdom with us. This has been fabulous. I've been enjoying getting to know you. We'll have to arrange to have you come back sometime. Maybe sometime when Steve and I are doing the show, and Steve's here for the full show, we can do a threesome for the whole thing. How's that sound?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, then we'll figure out the time. We'll have you back to do that. Thank you also to our live stream listeners and to our regular podcast listeners, of course, because you're the ones that we do all this for. And with that thought in mind, Steve, also thanks for dropping in. We appreciate that. And we'll see you all next time here on Away Today. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.